Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So today we're going to be tying John Barr's graphic caddis. This little dude, I mean, it just simply catches fish. I mean, anything from John Barr catches fish, but during caddis hatches, this thing, it just slays. I mean, it just kills them. It's a fairly easy pattern to tie, but there's a couple little tips and tricks that can kind of help you as you go along getting this sucker together. All right, so the first thing I'm going to start out with is UTC 70 in white. This is going to give that body that we tie in a lighter color. If you want a darker version, right after you tie this one, you don't even have to switch threads or anything. You just continue, or you just tie the whole thing with olive thread instead of this white thread. And then you have your lighter version and a darker version in your box ready to go. Now I'm going to tie in some Midge tubing in olive. As I go down this hook, I'm stretching this Midge tubing. I'm not going stupid crazy on it, but I am stretching it. So from there, I have some medium silver, what is this? Holo tinsel. Now I'm not going to tie it in right in the back where I've got my thread at now. I'm going to give a couple of wraps moving forward or back up the hook to then tie this, I'm just going to go two, then tie this Holo tinsel in. And I'll show you why whenever we go to wrap this stuff. Once I get that caught in, I'm going to slowly start building a little bit of a body back here, a little bit of a reverse taper. Caddis pupas typically have a fatter back end than they do on the front, so what you want to do is build that into your fly. Now you can see my thread's starting to cord up, so I'm going to spin it counterclockwise to uncord it. And since I tie right-handed, it wants to twist on me, so I gotta constantly untwist it. Try to avoid a lot of peaks and valleys whenever I'm making this. I think there was one right there. Once I pretty much get the fly where I want it, I'm gonna make, so I've got my thread pretty much back here where it will be easier for me to tie off the Holo tinsel. So what I'm going to do to keep this thread out of the way is I'm going to make real wide open spiral, like 3 turns. So once I get done with my tinsel, I can unwrap that, and it makes it easier to tie in or to wrap in the tinsel because my thread's out of the way. Now, with that little gap that we left with our tinsel, that first wrap doesn't bind down on that Midge tubing, and it will make it easier to jump up onto the tinsel whenever I get to that point. Now I take those big open spirals and I unwrap them, and now I can cross my tinsel and make it nice and easy to put the tinsel in and to tie it off. Nice and simple. I want to try and cover up a little bit of a misshapen piece right in there, and I'm going to clean it up as I move forward. There we go. Make sure I have a nice little ramp there. That looks good. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch to my olive thread. This is UTC 70 in olive. Nothing crazy here. Well, if I would have cut it right, wouldn't be having this problem. That's okay. All right, now I'm going to start wrapping in my midge tube, and because we left that little bit of a gap, I can jump immediately right up into that tinsel without having that midge tubing continue to want to try and slide off the back. If I could hold on to it. Ooh, my thumb is fraying my thread here. As you can see, the second we jump up onto that white thread, it kind of glows up underneath that midge tubing. Three or four turns, pull nice and tight. Trim that out. Level things out. Now from here, we're going to pick a decent Hungarian partridge feather. We'll take all this fluff off. Take a good pointed pair of scissors. You want to come in, take the tip out. So you're left with a little V there. Try to even them up. Now I'm going to point that notch in that V right where my thread is. And I'm going to use my left hand, my non-tying hand, my material hand, to kind of envelop the fly, right? And I'm going to slightly twist this towards me because my thread torque is going to carry it over. And then you're left with those distributed all the way around the fly. Sorry, I'm all fingers. Give that a trim. Come on down and clean it up. And back up. Now from here we're going to get a nice ostrich hurl. Trim the butt ends. And like I said in one of my last videos, ostrich hurl has a ridge. So you can see that ridge on one side of the feather. The other side, it doesn't have that ridge. We want that ridge to lead, so I'm going to tie my feather in with that ridge leading. Just to make it nice and easy as we move forward. I'm going to start this ostrich. Now from here, I like to kind of wet my fingers a little bit, pull that ostrich back, try to slightly, if I'm able, overwrap each successive wrap forward with this ostrich with itself. So we pack a lot on there. Get a couple there up at the front. Tie that off with 1, 2, pull everything back. Then go backwards slowly, each successive wrap, that's 3, 4, nice and tight. And then do a 4-turn whip finish. 1, pull everything back, 2, 3, 4. Now if you've kept everything tight, you can then take this ostrich and just give it a little tug, and it pops out. From there, kind of pop it with your nail a little bit, rough it up, and there you go. There's your graphic caddis. John Barr's graphic caddis. Twist some up, have fun. Thank you guys.